All right, welcome. Welcome. I am so excited that all of y'all are here. Summer is here. We're on break. And I don't know if you're like me, but when I was a teacher, and I remember my first summer, somebody said, "Well, if you go to a water park and just float on a inner tube, you'll be regenerated." Well, that was not the case at all. It took a long, long time for me to turn my head off and to let go of work and to be rejuvenated for the first year. And certainly as a principal, that was a case. My favorite summer or the most is I laid in bed and watched HGTV and just could not get the rest and the energy that I needed to go back. It's a hard job. It is. There's no, and that's okay. I'm not going to, I don't, yeah, it's a hard job and that's okay. But it's our purpose. It's what we're driven to do and we all love. So I have since learned a way to work and play and be rested and rejuvenated to start the new school year. Because I don't think it works to tell educators, well, just don't work, just practice self care. I don't think that's how most of us are. I think that we are still planning for the year, still reflecting on the previous year, and certainly thinking about kids. So, a little bit about me. And in a previous career, I was a scientist. And now I am a retired principal, educator, life coach, and I know that our thoughts create our reality and our thoughts create the results in our life, and that like attracts like. So, what happened, my education stories in 1998 at a baseball game for my oldest son, a neighbor came up to me and just handed me an application for substitute teaching. I was a little surprised because at that time I was working as a scientist, but also I was someone who walks through open doors. And so I applied to be a substitute in Irvine. I live in Southern California, and I reconnected with my ancestry. My mom was a special education teacher, one of the first in San Antonio. She would have described it as she worked with blind children. I know today we say visually impaired. And my grandmother taught in a one-room schoolhouse in Texas in the early 20s. And her father, my great-great-grandfather, also taught in a one-room schoolhouse in Kansas. And I still have his teaching credential, and it has a big emphasis on handwriting. Um, and it was the turn of the century. He taught in Kansas and Tennessee. So I come from a long line of farmers and teachers. And I've been really interested in ancestry, and I can trace my family back to the Civil War, both Union and Rebel side, and then back to Virginia fighting in the American Revolution, and then across the pond to London. Um, there is a story that is passed down in my family that during the terrible time of slavery, it was against the law to teach a child of a slave or a slave on the land how to read. And so I had a relative who would put the children in a rowboat and she would row out into the middle of the lake and teach them to read. So it's in our bones. This my mother's side of the family to educate and to because we believe that, and we I think y'all know that too, that education is freedom. And being an educator, a teacher, a principal, I believe that we are living life on purpose. And I believe that we are purpose driven. And it's kind of the front of the hand and the back, front of the hand where the puppy got me, front of the hand where the puppy got me in the back of the hand. It's so rewarding knowing we have an impact on the future, but it's also incredibly hard job and challenging times, and it's very easy to get fatigued and exhausted. I can remember being exhausted by October and wondering what happened. And so I'm going to share with you, I think, some wonderful solutions on how to go back to school refreshed, how to have your summer break off and still work when you want to, and not be tired in October. So I'm going to get started. Let's open up. I have PowerPoint slides and I can see you in chat. So if at any time you want to ask a question, just pop it in the chat and I will, let's see, let's put this in presenter view. Would y'all let me know if you can see the, can you see the, can you see the, can you see the slides on the screen? If you'll let me know in chat. Actually, I don't want it in a presenter view. I want it in a reader's view. Let's try one more time, reading view. There we go. Can y'all see that in the chat okay? Let me open up the chat. Yes, you can see it. Okay, good, good. Yay, looks great. All righty. Well, let's get ready to have a amazing summer break. All right. How to have time off even when you have work emails. And like I said, I'm Lynn Harden. I'm a retired principal and a life coach. So in this webinar, I'm going to do a series. I'm going to teach you how to end the summer break feeling good, like you got your work done and you got time off, and possibly why you're not getting all the tasks done and what to do about it, and how to take care of business so you can be refreshed and ready for the next school year. I'm going to share with you growth mindset and specific strategies. As a life coach, I know that I can give you systems and strategies from my 20 years as a principal, but if your head isn't wrapped around it, if your mind isn't in a space you're able to do, of positivity and willingness and feeling encouraged, the strategies won't work. It'll become just willpower. And we all know that willpower, if you've ever been on a diet, willpower doesn't last very long. So I'm using a combination of both. I work with my clients, we do both mindset and strategies together. All right, so just a little bit, just to let y'all know, I think this will take no more than half an hour, this actual teaching part, and then I'm going to open up for questions and if you'd like coaching or anything you'd like to share. But I want you to reflect on what's your present practice with time off from work. If you can think about what your actions are in detail. And then think about, where did you learn your time off? What did you learn about your work habits from about time off? Was it your childhood? Did your parents model this? College, other colleagues, your superintendent? In my old district, I had a superintendent who never took time off. And I don't agree with that model today. I don't think it was healthy for the culture or healthy for the staff. But that was her, for whatever reason, that was her style. On social media, you compare yourself to how other people are working? Another question I have for you is, what do you think about time off from work during the summer? And if you want to pop that in the chat, that would be awesome. What are your thoughts about time off from work during the summer? Okay, great, great. Well, a rule about it is your thoughts are important. Our thoughts are important. All right. Have any of y'all ever, had any of you Oh, thanks, Cheryl. I think it's important to take time off during the summer, but I often think that the higher ups work and expect us to it. Absolutely. And I don't know that they're really working, but I know that the expectation is that we do. And thank you, Kelly. Time off in summer is vital. Vital being what sustains life, and yet there's still a lot of work to do. And I know at the end of this, you're going to walk away with maybe a mind shift, but also some strategies. I was trained at the Life Coach School by Brooke Castillo. And you'll hear me talk a lot about in my webinars and in my writing and in my podcast is the model. And so I'm going to teach you, I want to share with you a little bit about the model. Circumstances. Circumstances are something happens in the world. It's factual. Something just happens. And what we do as human beings, a circumstance triggers thoughts. We make it mean something. Whatever it is that just happened, we make it mean something. And our thoughts, whatever we're thinking, our mindset causes us to feel, causes our emotions sad, glad, happy, angry, committed, empowered. Our thoughts create our feelings. And how we feel determines what actions we take or actions we don't take. And as we know, actions create results. So, what this means in the model is that our results are evidence of what we are thinking. So, if you really ever want to know what you're thinking, look at the results that you're getting in your life. And what I'm teaching you today, too, I think is super cool to teach your staff. And also, I've taught this to students and I've taught it to staff. So, a little more, let me tell you a little bit more about circumstances. They're facts, they're neutral, they're the ultimate truth, such as, my name is Lynn. Cheryl, you're on a webinar with Lynn Harden right now. That's a fact. Kelly, you said that time off in the summer is vital. That's a fact. So it's the ultimate truth. It's not like I had a client this week say, I'm so old. And I said, okay, that's subjective. How old are you really? And she gave me her age. And I said, gosh, Chris, I think 95 is old, not what you're telling me. So it's the fact would be her age. The thought would be, I'm old. So thoughts are just sentences in our mind. They and they circulate, and they're thoughts we have about a circumstance. Feelings are a vibration in our body. They cause our actions, what we do, and that includes reactions and actions or inactions. And for example, the thought I'm old, a thought like that could make you sad. It could an action you could take could be sedentary, could be not to take a risk, to not follow your dreams, to not do that second career, to not go back to school, to not paint. So our feelings can cause actions, and the results are the effects of our actions. And this is what we call, first off, I cannot believe there are so many feelings in the world, but this is what we call a feelings wheel, because it's, kids, you'll ask them, how do you feel? Fine. And or if it's a really little one, how do you feel? Sad, glad. Well, this is a wonderful wheel from surprised, mad, fearful, angry, disgusted, sad, human. You can see how the range of human emotion that is triggered by a thought. All right, I think it's really important to distinguish the difference between circumstance and, which is a fact, and a thought. All right, so this is really key, because what we think as humans, we think what we think is a thought, is the absolute truth. And it's very normal to think that. It's Yeah, it's super normal, but we think that because we think it, it's got to be the absolute truth. I know I'll say something and my husband will go, carve that in granite, because at the moment that I'm saying it, I believe that it is the absolute truth. But it's really just my opinion. It's subjective. It's just a thought I have about what has happened. Okay, so are there any questions right now about the model, about circumstances, the difference between a circumstance and a thought, how thoughts create feelings, that feelings drive actions and actions create results? I want to just take a moment and see if y'all have any questions about that. Okay, there's a little bit of a delay for me, so if you don't mind, if you don't have any questions, would you just leave an emoji or say no questions, and but I'll also see them. So I'm going to keep going. All right. I want to talk about some thank you so much. I want to talk about some of the common thoughts and feelings that we have. Thank you. I like these definitions too. You know why I like them? Because they're clean and crisp. But now let me talk about some common thoughts and feelings that don't really serve us, that happen with educators, teachers, principals um, over the summer. There's a feeling that they're overwhelmed by the heavy workload and multiple responsibilities. And the thought is, I can't get it all done. This is too much for one person. Now, when you think that, let's play. When you think that thought, I can't get it all done, or this is too much for one person, what feeling or emotion comes up? For me, the feeling is I feel defeated, I feel disempowered, I feel discouraged, inadequate. Yes. So coming from that and that, Kelly, you put in incadate. I apologize. I don't know what that means. So if you'll slap that in the chat for me, I would love the definition of inadequate. Yes, inadequate. Not enough. Not good enough. And coming from, no worries. We typos are free here, and we don't worry about spelling. We do best spell in these webinars. Um, we coming from a place of feeling inadequate, your actions are not going to support the results that you want. It's hard to take a really an action that you're going to organize your work, or you're going to strategize. So it's these are common thoughts and feelings that don't serve. Another one is frustration over the limited time available for self-care and personal well-being. I'd like for you to get really curious about what thought, when you feel frustrated over not having enough time for self-care and personal well-being, what's a thought for you, if you have one? Resentful is a great feeling. Yeah. I had resentful is a very common feeling I had with the heavy workload. And I'll tell you what my thought was. I'm not getting paid this summer. I'm off. My work is more important than my self-care. Yeah. Yeah, very common. Yes, my work is more important than my self-care. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Some other common thoughts or situations are when we have difficulty focusing on important tasks due to distractions and interruptions. Say that we do have some focus time to get work out of the way so we can play. The thought would be, I've always been bad at fill in the blank. I would say I've always been bad at doing school site plans because I didn't find them relevant to what we were doing. So I didn't, I was always bad at it. So I wouldn't focus on doing it. Or I don't want to blank. I don't want to work in the summer. And then there's managing those unrealistic expectations from the stakeholders, which I mean superintendent, assistant soup, our boss, our team, our parents. It could be the PTA. And you'll find yourself saying, I can't blank, I have to blank, I need to blank, and I'm always behind. Another one is if having a limited access to relevant professional development opportunities, um, give up time with my family to do schoolwork. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I used to think, and I can do this as a life coach too, I can focus more on the how rather than the mindset and the what and the why. And oh, this will fix the problem. I see that on Facebook in a couple of principal groups that I'm in. They will ask for, how do you fix this problem? And somebody will give them a link to a YouTube video. And I'm not saying that these strategies or systems don't work, but without the thoughts and the feelings behind it, it won't work. Or no new stuff. I'm not doing anything at all. I'm not doing anything at all. And we also can struggle to disconnect from work and establish a healthy work-life balance. You'll find yourself saying, I can't fill in the blank, I have to fill in the blank, or I need to. All right. Do any of these relate? Can y'all relate to any of these? And if so, just please put them in the chat. Nearly all of them, yeah. Oh, I know. Guess where they came from? My head, how I thought as a principal. I know, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And I don't want to make for us, I I look at things through love eyes. So we put the judgment up on the shelf, and the thoughts that we are sharing are common, are normal. Nobody's got a broken mindset. Nobody's doing anything wrong. This is normal. But there's got to be a better way. And there is a better way. So I want to give you a model of a particular, a typical circumstance that we check or clear emails during the summer. We check or clear emails. That's just a fact. I would think that it's the pretty rare educator that doesn't, but I know I can't think there's a principal alive who doesn't, but we check or clear emails with the thought it's going to take forever. And that leaves us feeling exhausted or dreadful. And when we feel exhausted, we're going to avoid doing it. We're exhausted. We're going to procrastinate. We're going to avoid feeling those feelings and distract or buffer. And what buffer is a buffer between myself, ourself, and feelings. So if I'm feeling exhausted, I'm going to put a buffer in between it. And that may be overeating, over drinking, watching Netflix, shopping on Amazon, whatever it is to help me buffer or avoid this feeling of exhaustion. And what happens is, under this model of this mindset of it's going to take forever, our result is it takes forever. Now we have the circumstance. This is the model of time. Time is a fact. It's neutral. It's just, it exists. A common thought is there's never enough of it. And when we think there is a never enough of it, the feeling it evokes is stressed. And when we feel stressed, we take the actions of avoiding feeling stressed, we shut down, we procrastinate, we buffer with entertainment, and we don't use our time productively because we're avoiding feeling stressed. And the result is there's still not enough time because we wasted the time that we have. Time is a currency. Okay, here's a common one. District expectations or task over the summer. Thought is I don't control what is expected of me or the expectations. I can't control it. And the feeling that evokes is out of control and helpless. So the actions we take or don't take is we don't set boundaries, we don't stick to our summer game plan, we people please, we do a mediocre job, and there's no heart in the game. And the result is we don't control the expectations, they control us. So what do y'all think about the three models that I just showed you of how we go from a neutral fact and what we make it mean all the way to the results? What do y'all think? Yeah, it does. Our mindset does set us up for the results we get. And the good news is our mindset sets us up for the results that we want. That's the good news. We do have a lot of power here. I want to share with you some of the thoughts that time off from work that are growth mindset that serve us. I control my time. I always get to choose what I do. Time off is a math problem. I am learning how to manage my time off. I'm willing to be bad at this for as long as it takes. This is a skill I can develop. Scheduling work time and time off creates freedom. So tell me in the chat how these thoughts make you feel. Liberating, happier. Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. So good, so good. All right, I want to tell you about the firefighter and the procrastinator. I was both as a principal. They may look different, but they're the same. I would actually use this phrase. My job is to look over the hill and see the fires coming and put them out or prevent them. Or I would be so overwhelmed by the job, I just would shut down, be stressed out. And in my early years, I confessed, I went under my desk and had a good cry my first year as a principal. But they're the same. Because what's happening for the firefighter and the procrastinator is there's a thought that does not serve you. And in these situations, we'll seek comfort from entitlement or discomfort avoidance. And both give short-term instant gratification. And this is human. This is what human beings do. This is what our teachers do. It's what the superintendent does. It's what our kids do. When we have a thought that doesn't serve us, we will seek comfort that we believe we're entitled to, or we're just going to avoid. I especially, the comfort entitlement, I think I saw more in staff, and the discomfort avoidance I saw more in students. But they're both about instant gratification. All right. That's the problem. What can we do about it? There are two rules of three if you want to manage your time off. We need to flip or pivot the script, which means changing our mindset. Change is uncomfortable, and be willing to be a little uncomfortable and avoid that instant gratification of avoiding discomfort and manage our thoughts. There are two rules of three if you want to manage your time off. And here, now I'm going to be getting into more of the systems. So when our mindset is in a place that serves us, we're able to take the actions of reclaiming control of our calendar. Reclaiming control of our calendar. We plan a scheduled day accurately and honestly. I know that in the beginning, when I began this, my calendar would either be empty or it would be packed and not really reflect what was possible for any human being. So we reclaim our calendar, we do it with love and honesty and being accurate. And then we honor it. What's on our calendar? We start on time, we don't allow interruptions, and we end on time. And I want to share with y'all this something that I've been using this summer. It's called focusmate.com, and it's so fun. I'll put it in the, it's so, no, it didn't come through. It's so much fun because I don't know about you, but as a principal, for me, there was a loneliness, a sense of autonomy, which I loved, a sense of isolation, which I did not. But this is a place, FocusMate is a free website where you sign up, and all over the world you can go on the calendar, you can click on and have focused work time with people all over the world. And the way it begins is you get on it and the two of you kind of, hi, how are you? What are you working on? This is what I'm working on. And then you stay on the video together and you mute it, and boom, you get to work. I've gotten so much done using just this because there's power in that connection with another human being. There's power in having somebody else. If it's just me, I'm going to allow interruptions or distractions. But if I've committed to someone else, I'm more apt to stay on task. All right, here's what we call an intentional model. So you have the circumstance. This is a model that would serve us. You have time off for summer break. The actions we take are we're reclaiming control of our calendar, we're planning the schedule accurately, we're putting personal fun on first on the calendar. We put our personal stuff on our calendar first. And we evaluate, we honor the plan, and we allow discomfort. And the result is we get needed work done and we get time off for fun and play. So what would one need to think and feel to have this happen? The thought is, I will keep going until I figure it out. That creates the result of getting work done and you get time off for fun and play. This is the mindset. And I will keep going until I figure it out gives a feeling of commitment and empowerment, which when you feel committed or you feel empowered, we reclaim the control of our calendar. We plan, we put personal fun on first rather than what we think others want us to do. So this is our intentional thoughts. Okay, step one, reclaim control of your calendar. Get honest about who has control of your time. It's not good or bad, but be honest with who has control of it. Is it the district? Is it the staff? Is it my family, or is it me? And by shining, when I say honest, I mean illuminate, just shine a flashlight on it. What changes do you need to make? And identify who are the time vampires and creepy crawlers. Time vampire, I mean, I have a neighbor, and I also my sister-in-law be the same way. Whenever I would bump into them, an hour would go by, and I didn't say a word, and they just an hour was gone by. Or those little creepy crawler things where, like, I'll be working and a notification will come, and I'll like squirrel, and I'll go check that. And also, step one is being aware of your negative thoughts with no judgment. Then, once you know what you're thinking, you can change your thoughts and allow your feelings. So, is there anyone in your life that's a time vampire or creepy crawlers? Anyone that well, maybe ask this question. I'm curious, who has control of your time? Who do you think has control of your time? Pop-in teachers. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. I have control of it. I allow quick conversations to control it. Awesome. So good. All right. The step two that I talked about, you plan your schedule accordingly. I like to, on Sunday, look at my week ahead and plug in not times, but just general categories. So I kind of know what's going to be happening Monday to Sunday. And then I plan daily. I plug in daily what's going to happen that day. And I usually do it in the morning with a cup of coffee. Like I like to meditate in the morning and get up early before everybody else. And right after meditation, I will plan for the day after I've done weekly on Sunday. Also, no written to do list, no little post its or little list hanging around. Keep one electronic list and add tasks to it throughout the week. You can use notes, you can use, I've used messages on my iPhone, but leave it electronic. I use Good Notes on my iPad Pro. So I have a running note that I just add all the different tasks, and my brain knows it's in one place. So my brain doesn't get panicky and try and find all of, it doesn't get all panicky about, am I forgetting something? I know it's all in one electronic list. And from that list, pick the items you will accomplish and then estimate how long it will take. As educators, we don't, not only do we eat fast, but we underestimate how long something will take. So if you give an estimate how long it will take on your calendar, double it and then place it on the calendar. All right, what's to include in your planned schedule? Number one, you put on personal activities. This is for summer. You put your fun on there. Work items like check email or meetings. I don't think it works to tell principals not to work. Just don't work. Don't do that. The reason you're tired is because you work. I don't think that works. Instead, what I am suggesting is to plan it. So, but first personal activities, then we put fun, then work items, and then your work focus times. You can go on Focus Mate, go, you know what, I need to bang out a newsletter, or I need to start working on the opening PowerPoint for school. I need to be thinking of what gifts I'm going to get my teachers or snacks. And you can or I need to read some IEPs. You can get on Focus Mate and go, this is my focus time. And then put in buffer time. It's human to buffer. When are you going to shop? When are you going to go out to dinner? When are you going to get dessert? When are you going to watch Netflix with your family? And then flex time. Put some time in your calendar with some flexibility for when life happens. Because you know how, oh man, I was so good at planning my whole day as a principal. And then there would be that kid who got suspended. Or there was a child who got hurt and I was in the ambulance to the hospital with them. There was no ever any flex time. Today I have flex time just because when life happens. And then time for being human and plan in tune with your preferences, not mine, but what are your preferences? Then you remember, we're just going to give this a try and see how it goes. And you experiment, evaluate, and adapt. And then honor your plan. Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to do it perfectly. And probably that's the most uncomfortable part, is that you're not going to do it perfectly. And start on time, work without interruptions, and then end on time. And there's some things you can do. You can do time audits. Honestly, this came as a suggestion from another coach. I've never done that. I went right to the planning and just started working within the planning, starting small, building in time blocks. And I learned to follow through. If it was on my plan, I did it. And if it didn't get done, I put a forward mark, and then I would move it to the next day, and that was okay. And then that was evaluating daily, and then I would evaluate weekly. Okay, here are the obstacles. I know I wish there weren't any, but there are. And it will be that comfort entitlement and discomfort avoidance. We will want to seek comfort, and we will want, every human being, that's the reptilian part of our brain, is to seek comfort or avoid discomfort. It's how we have survived as a species. It's survival. It's not a bad thing, but that is an obstacle to getting time off your way and going back to work feeling refreshed and energized. People pleasing, saying yes when we mean no, perfectionism, trying to do it perfect, and unwilling to do the time audits. That's me. And I don't know that I'll ever be, but not everybody's me. So I do throw it out there that you can just, if you didn't plan, I'm such a planner that it's no problem. Yeah, you can just, what did you do that day? And just write down what you did and take a look at it with love eyes. And then the unwilling to plan is an obstacle. I was always very willing to plan. So now I'm going to take some questions, or ta-da, I'm back. I'm back. Do y'all have any questions? I will unmute you. And